エレンにあそこちょっとキスしてほしかったですね。
ああ、いや、あれはキスしたんですかね。なんか
しなかったですけどね。
近づきましたよね。
近づきましたけどね。
ちょっとドキドキしました。
I think it's safe to say Eremika is always going to be my OTP when it comes to this anime. I think it's also safe to say I haven't truly talked about them in utmost justice when it comes to my channel. I'm not entirely sure how I ever managed to gain over 9k subscribers with the bad content I've been putting out. But I also check my sub count every day and realize, yeah, you guys aren't going anywhere. So I've made it my mission to officially rebrand my channel. Oh, don't worry, it's still gonna have Eremika at the center of it, but I want basically to keep my channel's theme consistent. I've bounced around from audiobooks of crappy fanfiction I've written to anime talks, even though 99% of them were about Attack on Titan, not other animes. Where was my brain there? And I even did my own version of fan-made visual novels for a while. I even tried to go for a more humor approach in some of my more recent videos, but between webcam quality issues I've been having, and just the overall vibe of them rubs me the wrong way. The thing is, I'm a perfectionist. I am my biggest critic, and seeing my channel have absolutely no consistency is driving me completely insane. I even went as far as to delete a lot of old content I'm no longer proud of. With that being said, the current state of my channel will be this. The special edits I've been doing will be around once or maybe twice a week, and then whenever I find something I really want to talk about, I'll make a video like this one. I want to push a video like this one coming out twice a month, but I also want to do one when I feel like it'll be interesting to put out, and one I can look back on and be proud of. Quality over quantity, if you will. I did feel it was past time to talk properly to you guys in depth in a video, but enough rambling, let's get on with the topic at hand, Eremika. I can admit, I think I was far too premature when I released this video a few months back, especially when you look at what actually defies canon. And it's a video I'm likely to remove because I'll be properly talking about this chapter starting right now. While the scene between Eren and Mikasa from chapter 123 didn't prove them canon, it did prove something that the shippers and the antis have been at war at since the beginning. The one thing antis love to use against Eremika shippers was that Eren didn't share mutual feelings with Mikasa. This was an argument we had to deal with for years. Despite Eren's signs of liking Mikasa growing less and less subtle...
Now hold on a second! Maybe I'm a monster that you want dead, but you leave her out of this! She's innocent! It fell. Here. Get some sleep. You've got to be tired.
Throughout the manga and anime, haters persisted with this point. The single scene that I felt officially debunked them was actually a small moment from Season 3. As much as our beloved Chapter 50 moment from Season 2 provides all the evidence you need for this ship, I also feel it's talked about so much that it overshadows smaller yet just as interesting moments. The scene in question is when Eren ponders in his head that they had lost everything the day Shiganshia fell. But then, he turns back and specifically looks at Mikasa. The camera does a very obvious zoom in on her, and he literally thinks to himself,
It's fine. I'm taking it back.
Not only is this evidence Eren is implying he wants a future with Mikasa, but there's a reason why it also proves Eren is in love with Mikasa as early as this point in the series. The camera did not zoom in on Mikasa and Armin, it zoomed in only on Mikasa. The same visual tactic was used during chapter 108, when Eren and Mikasa are blushing. There were two panels specifically on them gazing at each other. If moments like this were about Eren showing how much he cares for all his friends and comrades, there wouldn't be these obvious dramatic zooms on Mikasa. Visual storytelling is just as crucial as dialogue, and it's actually something Attack on Titan is famous for. And before you even try it, haters and skeptics, this moment is also in the manga. This scene is not anime only like several other moments were from all of Season 3. It was identically copied from the manga. You can argue that this scene isn't canon and that scene isn't canon, but you can't use that argument against this moment. But even with this moment, the haters continued their argument. So that is exactly why this moment from chapter 123 is so important. Not only does this prove Eren's feelings, but it even confirms Mikasa's. Mikasa replies with, "Your family." But remember our earlier discussion, people, visual storytelling. Look at her face. She's flustered and stuttering. One of the classic signs of someone, especially a teenager, being in love is being nervous around the person they have feelings for. And yet, despite that obvious visual, haters tried to use the fact she said he was family to debunk Eremika. What teenage girl, especially in an anime, has ever been approached by their crush, asked what their feelings are, and just casually respond with, "Oh, I love you so much, let's take this to the bedroom, baby." Like, come on, haters. That one is just a painfully obvious reach. The fact Mikasa got nervous and couldn't confess confirms her true feelings for Eren. But the scene also confirms Eren's feelings as well. It may seem weird Eren asked her this out of the blue, but when you think about it, it actually makes sense. In Eren's mind, he knows a war is going to break out eventually, and he knows he'll perish from Ymir's curse. So it makes sense why he wanted to try and have some kind of romantic relationship with Mikasa while he still had time. Look at Eren's face, he's absolutely crushed at her answer. Further proof is him literally leaving after the fact. Staying around Mikasa is too painful for him if she can't return his feelings. And for all we know, Mikasa may have been Eren's only excuse to not go to war with Marley. It also explains this moment with Mikasa pondering if she had given him a different answer that day. Which leads me into mentioning Hajime redrew Eren's expression for this scene. I've never seen an expression being redrawn in a chapter, at least not for a long time. Why would Hajime go the extra effort to redraw Eren's expression for this moment? Because it's important. One thing that kills me is many fans try to claim this scene was nothing but ship fuel. People who claim this really aren't true fans of Attack on Titan, in my opinion. Because if you know anything about this anime manga, you know that it does not contain fan service of any kind. All of the female characters have realistic sized boobs, everyone's hair is a natural color, there's no silver or bubblegum heads to be seen here. There's no over-the-top expressions for comedic effect, and one could even argue the Titans are in their own way a realistic form of science. I'm just going to start this one right off, straight to the point. No, Eren and Mikasa are not siblings. There is just so much wrong with that argument, and according to some of you guys, people are still trying to claim Eremika is incest. I haven't talked about this ridiculous argument in a long time because I figured most of the fans already knew what BS it was. But let me just get this out there. When someone tries to claim Eremika is incest, they make one of 3 points. Point 1, they're adoptive siblings. This one is the most popular point, and man do I got a debunk for you. First of all, even though the Jaegers did take Mikasa in as a little girl, there's 3 things you should keep in mind. 1. Mikasa's last name remained Ackerman. That one kinda goes without saying. 2. She never once refers to Grisha or Carla as mom and dad. As a matter of fact, there's a moment in the Japanese version of Season 2, Episode 8, where Mikasa refers to Carla as Oba-san. Oba-san is Japanese for auntie. So, Mikasa never viewed the Jaegers as replacement parents. I mean, how could she, given how close she was to her real parents? 3. Mikasa and Eren only lived together with his parents for a year. Only 12 months were they under the same roof with 2 parental figures. After that, they went on to be orphans, living alone with Armin. Eren and Mikasa really didn't grow up in a sibling environment, they grew up in an orphan environment. In the end, there just isn't enough evidence to support them being adoptive siblings. Even when Mikasa is mentioned on the back cover of Volume 2, she's described as Eren's childhood friend, not Eren's sister. If Hajime wanted them to be viewed as siblings, he would have made that clear from the beginning. Point 2. The wiki pages refer to them as adoptive siblings. The thing about wiki pages, you need to take them with a grain of salt, because remember, they're edited by the fandom. And because Attack on Titan is notorious for misinformation, I'm not surprised the wiki is a bit of a mess. Point 3. They're actually related. This one just absolutely kills me. I mean, what? Seriously? You people do realize Mikasa was born in February and Eren was born in March, right? If they had the same mother, she would have had to be in labor for over a month, or had to have a Bella Swan rapid vampire pregnancy with Eren after Mikasa was born. I think it's pretty obvious people who think they're blood related haven't even watched past episode 1 of the anime, because it's revealed as early as episode 6 that they're not related. Not to mention, Mikasa looks nothing like the Jaegers. And for anyone who still thinks they're adoptive siblings, I don't see y'all throwing a fit over Hollywood films that introduce the same type of scenario. I have to admit, I've been an Attack on Titan fan for 3, going on 4 years. I've been an anime fan since I was like 12 years old. And in all of my years of it, I've never seen something quite as bizarre as the Eren x Historia shippers, or Erehisu for short. Eren and Historia are two characters who barely interact. The most interaction they have is during the first half of Season 3, out of what's going to be a 4-season anime. I don't think we ever saw them exchange a single word of dialogue in Season 1, barely any in Season 2, and even when they do finally interact in Season 3, it's only for 2 reasons. 1, Historia finally opens up about her past and who she really is. Eren's the main character of the show, so it makes logical sense for them to bond a little bit. 2, all that really happens is they both get kidnapped. They didn't choose to spend this arc together, they just ended up abducted by the same person. And instantly after, they go their separate ways again. Historia becomes queen and Eren goes back to doing his own thing with Mikasa and Armin. And as of how the manga is so far, it looks like Season 4 is going to continue keeping Eren and Historia mostly apart. Yet despite that, despite the fact these two characters barely interacted, have no chemistry whatsoever, ever since Historia got pregnant, for some reason social media was completely flooded with Erehisu shippers just crawling out of the woodwork. A good chunk of these people had just made Twitter accounts. It was like they only jumped on social media to voice their opinions on it. If they had jumped on to share fan art or just show love for their ship, that would be one thing. But what actually happened was, these shippers jumped on basically just to argue with other fans, attack Eremika shippers, and overall, act like a bunch of triggered, spoiled 13-year-olds with no parent supervision. It was chaotic, to say the least. Are all Erehisu shippers like this? No, not at all. I'm even friends with an Erehisu shipper on Instagram. She's awesome. But what I am saying is that a good chunk of the Erehisu shippers not only stained that part of the fandom and turned any outsiders off to it with their behavior, but in the end, the chances of Erehisu happening are 0 to none.
Give me those.
Hey!
You need to rest between experiments.
That's true. Sorry, Mikasa.
Just look at Historia's face here. She looks ready to piss herself. That's the face I make when I get caught up in the middle of drama and want to escape as fast as possible. If Historia had feelings for Eren as well, she wouldn't have backed off in such a respectful way. There just aren't enough signs or evidence when you put it next to Eremika. In conclusion, if someone were to ask me if Eremika was to become canon, I would reply with a 100% yes. I do genuinely believe Hajime has a plan for these two. I know Attack on Titan isn't a romance manga/anime, but it has proven it does do romance of its own type with Ymir and Historia. There's just been so many signs over the years, especially if you include spin-offs like Attack on Titan Junior High and the live actions. It would be downright shocking if Eremika wasn't made canon by the end. We even were able to get an almost kiss, both in the manga and the anime. It's hard to believe, but Attack on Titan the manga is supposed to be ending this year, with Season 4 starting this fall, and most likely ending sometime in early 2021 if they decide to take a break in between arcs, like they did with Season 3. I would be lying if I said I wasn't nervous about the ending, but I'm hoping it's a satisfying one. Regardless of how it ends though, I'll always ship Eremika.